here, Sandra Lee Schubert, because you're partly press as well as guest. You've got Blog Talk Radio.
Yes.
You like interviewing thinkers as well.
Yes, I do.
So you're scouting for guests, I would gather.
I am, and I found a lot of
and
guests.
And you can pay me after the show.
Thank you. I will.
So, what's on your mind? I have no idea what's on your mind.
Uh-oh. Well, what's on my mind, I've been thinking a lot about media and social media, and I've been engaged in it very strongly since I was laid off 2 years ago. And one of the things that happens when you get laid off is, well, there's a lot of things that happen, but at least what happened for me is that I looked at it as an opportunity to sort of do the things that I thought about but didn't have the time to do. So I began a radio show, and I didn't have experience in radio, but I had wonderful friends who had experience in media. So smartly, my first guest was you. So that in the event that I somehow choked or had a crisis of conscience in the middle of interviewing you, that you could step in. But just putting that aside, what happened was I got engaged in a community that I didn't anticipate would be there for me. The last time I was laid off, and unfortunately it seems to have happened a couple of times, I was alone and home and watching TV, but this time I could actually jump into a community that was there, that I could talk to, and that responded back to me. So if I was lonely, there were people that were online that were talking about things that I could engage in. So where some people sort of look at social media and look at this interaction as sort of taking away from intimacy or taking away from community, I discovered the opposite, that I had a community that I could tap into. So as an example, somebody could say, oh, we're meeting at, Times Square, 2 p.m., and I could decide at that moment to join in at that meeting. Where that might not have happened before. I might not have known these 5 people that were going to be meeting. But now I had an opportunity to step into a situation and meet people that I had never met before in person and had only engaged with online. And I got radio guests from this. I interacted with people in so many different ways that I wouldn't have had that opportunity to do beforehand. And ask questions. I had somebody yesterday, I had an email when somebody sent a horrible political email, saying, they're doing this. And I could go to somebody online and say, I don't know about this context of what they're talking about. Can you tell me what that is? And they were able to say, this is the context. This is what they're referring to. And I could go back to those people and say, you know what? You're wrong here. This is the truth about what you're saying. And could correct a falsehood that was sort of whipping around the internet in my little personal world. And that's something that I might not have been able to do 10 years ago, or it would have taken me longer to get to that place. And now I can have that kind of community in interaction quicker and faster. And I have to say, in the intimacy, the friendship, exists there in a different way than I might have developed otherwise.
But you also act as a consultant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you help people set up their social network presence.
Right.
So what are some of the mistakes people make in dealing with social network?
Well, I think what happens is people forget to be who they are in social media or any social network. And there is such a thing as branding, and you maybe want to put on a certain face. So, if you are an attorney, you may not want to show a certain aspect of your life, and that's true. So, but there are ways with social media to sort of filter out things and people and sort of be private. As an example, with Facebook, you can create a Facebook page for your business that has nothing to do with your life. So those two don't have to meet. But also, it really is about engaging. Like, the biggest complaint I hear about social media is somebody says, I don't want to hear what somebody had for lunch. What do I care what they watched on TV? But what I would say to that person is, that's an opportunity to engage that person. And that's where I've had some of my best interactions, when I've said, oh, I'm making lemon chicken, and suddenly 6 people are saying, really, how are you making that lemon chicken? I love that lemon chicken. How do you do it? So people would look at that and say, oh, why would I want to know that? And I say, well, why look for that opportunity? Isn't that an opportunity to engage with a person that you might not have met before? So instead of dismissing it as being idle chatter, look at the way you can be in relationship with that person in the way that they're presenting themselves to the world. If the best they have to offer at that moment is to say, oh, I'm watching Mad Men, well, you know what? Meet them where they are at that moment.
So for marketing purposes, meeting people where they are,
yes,
cuts out a lot of unnecessary market research. I mean, they're sort of giving you the market research.
Oh yeah,
right in your hand.
Yeah, you just you can just do a Twitter search around your particular topic of interest, and you can find out lots of information about what people are thinking about a topic.
So say the name of your blog talk radio show.
It is Conversations with Thinkers, Innovators, and Creative Vagabonds.
So you see yourself as a creative vagabond?
I do, and occasionally a thinker.
And people can reach you best?
You can reach me best at sandraleeschubert.com. It's the easiest way to reach me.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
Gabrielle, you're up now. Our last guest.